My sister stole my dog, then claimed I didn't deserve him, so I took everything back. That's not my dog. That's the first thing I said when I saw him. And I said it out loud, too, just blurted it like some half-drunk lunatic talking to the sky. Except I wasn't drunk. I was holding an iced chai from the Starbucks drive-thru, and I'd just pulled over because my sister's garage door was wide open and her dumb cat kept wandering into the street. But what stopped me wasn't the cat. It was the dog. My dog, Loki, just sitting there in the backyard like he belonged, on a frilly little pink blanket surrounded by chew toys I'd never seen before, wearing a collar that wasn't his. For a second, I thought maybe I was losing my mind. I hadn't slept well in days. I'm a vet tech, and when your clinic is understaffed and allergy season hits like a sledgehammer, your whole week turns into one long caffeinated blur. But when he turned his head, just slightly, I saw it. The scar on his left hind leg, right above the ankle. Same exact scar Loki got when he tore through my screen door last year chasing a raccoon. It was him. My stomach dropped. I stepped closer, into the driveway, hands shaking, voice barely a whisper. Loki? His ears perked. He stood up slowly, unsure, like he was seeing a ghost. Then that tail started thumping. Slowly at first, then faster, full helicopter mode. He ran toward the fence, tongue lolling out, eyes wide. That's when the door opened. And out came my sister, Jamie, carrying a bowl of kibble like it was the most normal thing in the world. Oh hey, Danny, she said, blinking like she hadn't just walked into a crime scene. Didn't expect to see you today. I just stood there, blinking back. What is this? She tilted her head. What do you mean? I pointed. That's my dog, Jamie. Her smile didn't even falter. No, that's Charlie. He's mine. I felt like I was going to throw up. I'd been tearing my neighborhood apart for 3 weeks. Flyers, late-night walks, online posts, calls to shelters. I cried over him, grieved him, told myself someone had probably taken him in to be kind. I told myself he'd been loved. I never once imagined this. She kept talking, like she was explaining the weather. He showed up at my door the day after your birthday. No collar. I figured it was meant to be. I stared at her. Meant to be? You knew I was looking for him. She had the audacity to shrug. I just thought, maybe it was a sign. You've been so busy lately. I figured you didn't need the extra stress. My hands were shaking. Jamie, I filed a police report. I've been posting pictures for weeks. Yeah, I saw those. She looked at the ground, suddenly sheepish. I guess I just didn't think you'd actually find out. Loki was still whining behind the fence, tail going a mile a minute. He wanted me. And I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Not yet. Because standing there, in that driveway, staring at my sister, I realized something. This wasn't just about a dog. And I had a choice to make. One I knew would blow our entire family dynamic to pieces. Do I take him back now, go full scorched earth? Or do I wait? Play it smart. Make sure everyone sees exactly who Jamie really is? Because if there's one thing I've learned from working with animals, it's that instincts don't lie. And mine? They were screaming. I didn't say anything. Not to her. Not then. I just turned around, got back in my car, and drove straight home with my stomach doing somersaults. Loki's cries echoed in my ears the whole way back. I couldn't get the sound out of my head, this raw, desperate noise like he knew. Like he was wondering why I'd left him behind. But I had to. Not because I didn't want to drag him out of there by the collar and yell bloody murder at Jamie in front of all the neighbors. But because I knew my family. And I knew exactly how this would go if I acted out of rage. They'd spin it. She was probably confused. Danny, you've been working too much. Maybe you left the gate open. Jamie has anxiety. She didn't mean it like that. You always blow things out of proportion. I've heard every version of that song since we were kids. Jamie is the golden child. I'm the one with boundaries. Guess which one gets labeled difficult? I sat in my living room, lights off, chai still sitting untouched in the cup holder, hands clenched in my lap like I was bracing for impact. And the memories came rushing in. Not just about Loki, but about everything. Like when I got accepted into a pre-vet summer program and Jamie cried for hours because she didn't get in. My mom told me to decline, said it'd be better for family harmony. Or how, when I finally saved enough to buy my first car, Jamie borrowed it for one weekend and totaled it. My dad bought her a new one and told me to just be thankful no one was hurt. And now she'd taken my dog. The dog I trained, fed, cared for when he had colitis and threw up for 2 days straight. The one I used to take to the lake every Saturday. The one who used to sleep curled around my legs like a little heater. Gone. Rebranded. Charlie. Who even names a healer Charlie? I tried texting my mom. Just something simple. Did you know Jamie has Loki? She left me on read. An hour later, I got a call from my dad. Hey kiddo. I heard from your sister. She's upset. No, hey, how are you? No, oh my God, are you okay? Just straight to Jamie's feelings. I didn't even know what to say. I kept it short. She stole my dog. She didn't steal him. Dad replied in that flat tone he always uses when he's preparing to explain away something awful. She found a dog. He had no tags. He was microchipped, I said. To me. Silence. Then, look, it's not that simple. That's when I realized something that made my heart sink a little deeper. It was that simple. But not for them. Because this wasn't about the dog. This was about the fact that Jamie had decided something was hers, and as usual, the rest of the family fell in line. I hung up. And that night, sitting on my porch with a beer in hand and nothing but porch lights for company, I asked myself the question I'd been avoiding. Was I ready to go nuclear? Because if I moved forward with what I was thinking, I'd be setting a fire I couldn't put out. But maybe it was time. Maybe they needed to see exactly what happened when I stopped rolling over and started keeping receipts. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I called in, said I had a family emergency, which wasn't entirely a lie. I had a plan now. A quiet, methodical one. Because this wasn't just about Loki anymore. This was about the long line of things Jamie had taken and twisted and walked away from like she was untouchable. I logged into the microchip registry first. When Loki went missing, I flagged his chip as lost. That record was still active. He was still listed under my name, my address, my phone number. I updated the status to located, just so it was fresh. Then I grabbed my camera, a notepad, and drove back to her house. I parked across the street like some sad suburban spy, coffee in hand. And sure enough, there he was. Same pink blanket. Same toys. Jamie came out a few minutes later, in leggings and an oversized hoodie, talking on speakerphone and laughing like nothing in the world could touch her. I took pictures. Several. Clear shots of Loki ears, markings, scar. Then I got out of the car and crossed the street. Jamie, I said, voice firm but calm. One last chance. Give him back. She blinked like I'd slapped her with a wet towel. What are you talking about? I held up my phone. He's chipped. To me. I called the registry this morning. He's legally mine. Her jaw clenched. You can't prove anything. I pulled a folded paper from my jacket. Adoption records. Vet records. Vaccinations. All with my name on them. She went quiet for a second. Then said the one thing I knew she'd fall back on. I already love him. I stared at her for a long, heavy second. So did I. For 3 years. While you were busy jumping from yoga retreats to failed Etsy shops, I was training him. Walking him at 6 a.m. Paying his emergency bills. And now you think you can just have him. She didn't respond. I'm going to animal control, I said quietly. And if they don't act fast enough, I'll go public. With everything. Her eyes narrowed. You wouldn't. Try me. And that's when she snapped. She threw the dog toy she was holding, just launched it across the lawn, and screamed, Fine. Take your damn dog. But don't expect to be invited to Thanksgiving. I almost laughed. I already RSVP'd now. Loki bolted toward me as soon as the gate opened. tail wagging like mad, whining and jumping into my arms like he was afraid I'd disappear again. As we walked back toward my car, Jamie shouted, "You're making this about something way bigger than it is." I didn't even look back. Because it was bigger. It had always been bigger. And I was finally done pretending it wasn't. By that evening, the family group chat was on fire. It started with a message from my mom. "Jamie told us what happened. Please explain why you're threatening legal action over a dog." And then, like they'd been waiting for a cue, the rest followed. "Dad, this could have been solved with a calm conversation." Aunt Linda, he looked very happy at Jamie's. "Just saying. Jamie, of course. Hope your dog keeps you warm when you're spending Christmas alone, sis." Face-blowing kiss. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent one single message. Attached is Loki's microchip record, adoption paperwork, and vet file. The matter is closed. Do not contact me about this again. Then I left the chat. I deleted it from my phone before I could second-guess myself. My fingers were still trembling when I put the phone down. I wasn't used to this version of myself, the one who didn't explain, didn't soften, didn't try to make everyone else feel comfortable while I bled quietly under the table. And I won't lie, it felt kind of good, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt. Because what came next hit harder than I expected. I got a text from my dad later that night. Just one sentence. "You broke your mother's heart." No context. No, "How are you?" or "Let's talk." Just that. Like I was the villain for reclaiming the dog someone stole from me. I didn't reply. Instead, I poured a glass of wine, curled up on the couch with Loki asleep at my feet, and tried to pretend the world outside my apartment didn't exist. But something had shifted. Jamie had always gotten away with everything. And now that someone had finally told her no, she wasn't just mad, she was unraveling. And I had a feeling things were only just getting started. 2 days later, she showed up at my job. Let me paint this for you. It's 8:40 a.m. I'm in scrubs, hair in a messy bun, halfway through prepping medication logs for the surgery board. Loki's curled up in his crate in the back office. He comes to work with me now, since he whines if I leave him alone too long. I hear the bell above the clinic door. Then the voice. "Hi, I need to report an animal that was stolen from me." I froze. It wasn't just the words, it was how she said them. Loud. Purposefully. Like she wanted the front desk to hear. I stepped into the lobby, and there she was. Jamie. Wearing sunglasses indoors like she was dodging paparazzi. Arms crossed. A whole performance ready. "Jamie," I said. "What are you doing?" She pulled off the sunglasses and said, in her fakest innocent voice, trying to recover my emotional support animal. I blinked. "You mean my dog? Who you renamed and claimed without asking?" She smiled. "We'll let the police sort that out." At this point, our receptionist, Tanya, bless her chaos-loving heart, had pulled out her phone, not even trying to hide that she was recording. I stepped closer. Kept my voice low. "You want to do this here? At my job?" "I want my dog back," she said. "You overreacted. This is ridiculous, Danny." I didn't blink. "He's chipped. Registered. Trained by me. You had him for less than 3 weeks. You don't even know his commands." She paused. Her jaw clenched. And then she did the one thing I will never forgive. She tried to call Loki over. "Charlie, come here, baby." I turned just as Loki peeked his head out of the back office. He looked at her. Then at me. Then padded over and sat at my feet. Didn't even hesitate. Jamie's face turned a shade of red I've never seen outside of cartoons. "I'm filing a report," she snapped. "Go ahead," I said calmly. "You'll lose." She stormed out, tossing a brochure rack to the floor on her way. Classy. But here's the kicker, later that day, I did get a call. From an officer. Apparently, Jamie really had gone down to the station to report a dog napping. Fortunately, when I emailed over the chip registration, vet receipts, and the footage Tanya had lovingly edited with subtitles, "Charlie. Girl, please," the cop laughed and told me not to worry. "She's wasting our time," he said. will mark it as unfounded. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt exhausted. Because this wasn't over. Jamie wasn't done. And deep down, I knew she was about to go lower than I thought possible. That night, it all went public. I was brushing my teeth when my phone started vibrating nonstop, notifications pouring in like a fire alarm I couldn't shut off. Group chats, DMs, screenshots, people tagging me. Jamie had posted a Facebook status, not just a casual vent session. Oh no, this was a novel. When you open your home to someone, or in this case, something, you don't expect to have it ripped away by someone who only wants to punish you. My heart is shattered. Charlie, I miss you. You'll always be mine in spirit, even if someone else is holding your leash. Broken heart # love isn't ownership # emotional support lives matter. It had hundreds of likes within an hour. People we grew up with, mutual friends, old coworkers, even 2 of our aunts, were in the comments like, "You're so strong, Jamie. This is so unfair. You're such a good pet mom. Wow. Whoever took him doesn't deserve him." And just like that, I became the villain in someone else's sob story. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. But I read every word, every half-lie, every twist. She painted herself as this broken-hearted rescuer, claimed she found a scared, neglected dog, and nursed him back to health. Said I abandoned him emotionally and that he'd finally found joy in her home until I ripped him away out of spite. I nearly threw my phone across the room, because it wasn't just about the dog anymore. It was about character assassination. I got a call the next day from our Aunt Caroline. She was one of the few sane ones. "You need to respond, Danny," she said. "People are believing her." "I have receipts," I told her. "I have everything documented. But do you want to?" she asked. "Do you want this war?" And I had to ask myself, what's the cost of being right? Because this whole mess, this sibling implosion turned social media drama, wasn't just pulling Jamie and me apart. It was pulling everyone into it. Family choosing sides. Friends ghosting me. Coworkers walking on eggshells. And yet, Loki was asleep on my feet again, breathing soft and steady. Home. Safe. Loved. So I opened Facebook. I typed 2 sentences under her post. "He's chipped. He's registered. He's home. End of story." Then I logged out. Because the real battle wasn't online. It was coming next. A week after the Facebook fiasco, I got a message from my mom. "We need to talk. Sunday. Our house. Everyone will be there." I stared at it for a while. No emoji. No softening. Just a directive. Like I was being summoned. My first instinct was to delete it. But something told me I needed to go. Not for them. For me. I needed to look them in the eye, my parents, Jamie, whoever else decided to show up, and say it. Out loud. That I wasn't going to keep being the one who folded just to keep the peace. So I went. And let me tell you, the moment I walked through that door, it was like stepping onto a stage where everyone had already rehearsed their lines except me. Jamie was on the couch in a turtleneck and tear-free mascara. Dad sat in his recliner, silent and stiff. Mom was at the dining table, arms crossed, coffee mug untouched. I stood. No one offered me a seat. My mom spoke first. "We feel like this whole situation has gotten out of hand." I almost laughed. "We?" She nodded slowly. "Everyone's hurting. Jamie's hurting." I waited. "Are you going to apologize?" she asked. The silence that followed could have cracked glass. I looked at Jamie. She wouldn't even meet my eyes. "No," I said. Dad looked up, startled. "What do you mean no?" "I mean I'm not sorry. I did what anyone would do if their pet, their family, was stolen." Jamie finally looked at me then. "You're acting like I took your kid." I smiled tightly. "You didn't just take a dog, Jamie. You took mine." Lied about it. Then doubled down. Publicly. "I loved him," she said, voice trembling. "I know," I said quietly. "But love without boundaries is obsession. That shut her up. I turned to my parents. This isn't new. You've been letting her take from me for years. And I've let it happen. But not anymore. You're going to throw away your whole family over a dog, my mom hissed. No, I said. Over respect. And that's when I realized it wasn't about Loki anymore. It was about drawing the line. I turned to leave, but before I reached the door, Jamie blurted it out. You think you're so righteous? I let Loki out that day. I froze. You what? She stood. You weren't giving him enough attention. You were working late every night. He looked sad. So I let him out. Figured maybe he'd come to me. The room went still. My mom gasped. My dad's jaw dropped. And me? I just smiled. Because that right there, that was the truth I needed. The twist I didn't expect. You let him out? I said it slowly, like I was testing the weight of the words in my mouth. Jamie looked like she hadn't expected to actually admit it, like the sentence had slipped out before her brain could put on the brakes. I didn't mean for it to go that far, she said quickly. I wanted to see if he'd come to me. You wanted me to think he was gone. My voice was quiet. Too quiet. She looked away. My mom spoke next, her voice sharp. Jamie, is that true? Jamie didn't answer. And in that moment, something clicked. All the excuses, all the guilt trips, every manipulation my family had used to keep me in line, just fell flat. They sounded hollow now, exposed under the weight of something undeniable. My sister deliberately let my dog loose, lied to my face, then tried to make me the villain when I came to get him back. And my parents? They defended her at every turn. I looked at them, one by one. My mom, wringing her hands. My dad, staring at the floor. Jamie, trying to shrink into herself now that her performance had cracked. You finally said it, I whispered. After all these years, you finally told the truth. Then I turned and walked out the front door. This time, no one stopped me. Back in my car, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, hands on the wheel, letting the silence settle like dust. I felt light. Hollow, sure, but free. Sometimes clarity doesn't come with a lightning strike. Sometimes it just walks in quietly, dressed as your sister, and ruins herself with her own mouth. That night, I unfriended every family member who commented on Jamie's post. Blocked a few. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I curled up on the couch, Loki's head resting on my thigh. He let out a sigh that matched mine like he, too, knew the storm had passed. Almost. Because there was still one thing left to do. A week later, a package arrived at my door. No return address. Handwritten label. The kind of box that feels suspicious before you even open it. Inside was a photo album. One I hadn't seen since we were kids. The cover was cracked faux leather, our last name embossed in gold lettering. I flipped through it, page by page. There were pictures of us, me and Jamie, back when things were still simple. Birthday parties, lake trips, backyard forts. There was even one of her holding baby Loki the day I brought him home. And tucked at the back, loose and out of place, was a folded note. Jamie's handwriting. I messed up. I know that now. I didn't want to lose you, but I ended up pushing you away the hardest. I won't ask for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I remember too. Love always, Jay. No apology. But something like truth. I didn't call her. Didn't message. I just put the album back in the box, sealed it up, and slid it under the bed with the other things I don't know what to do with yet. Sometimes closure isn't loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to stop hoping they'll become who you needed them to be. A month later, I heard through Aunt Caroline that Jamie had moved to another city. Got a new job. Adopted a rescue cat. She hadn't posted anything since the meltdown. Good. I took Loki to the lake the next weekend. Same one we used to go to when he was a puppy. He raced into the water like he'd never been gone. I watched him sprint through the shallows, tongue out, ears bouncing, utterly free. That's when I realized, so was I. He came trotting back, soaking wet and grinning like an idiot. I knelt down, scratched behind his ears, and whispered, "We're okay now." And we were. Update. It's been 6 months. My parents haven't called. Jamie hasn't reached out. And for the first time in my adult life, my home feels quiet in a good way. Loki still sleeps with his nose tucked under my arm. Still goes berserk over tennis balls. Still chases shadows like they owe him rent. We're both healing. Slowly, but surely. And every now and then, when the silence gets too loud, I open that photo album. I don't hate her. Not anymore. But I remember. And that's enough.